Magic moments when two hearts are knit.
Aha! Now we've got it. Longtime readers of my blog should remember that I did a text recap for another site called the Agony Booth. While the Agony Booth usually covers terrible movies and television shows, in honor of The Dark Knight I did a recap of a story from a Batman issue that featured Batman becoming Bat-Baby. It's as terrible as you could possibly imagine the concept to be. However, a Silver Age Batman book is different from comics we expect to see in the modern age. It's more like a Batman anthology book, featuring a few stories with Batman and a few comic strips added in for good measure. As such, I felt it necessary to look back at this comic and tell you about the other two insanely stupid stories within it. As such, let's dig into Batman number 147. Yeah, I know this isn't the actual comic. I don't own it, so I had to download it. Sorry. Our first tale begins with a full-page spread of Batman and Robin next to a farm where a bunch of yellow cacti are launching huge needles at them. Folks, only in the Silver Age would this sort of opening make any bit of sense. No botanist had ever seen the likes of these strange, mysterious growths. In retrospect, they should have gone to the doctor instead of a botanist. Nor could any scientist anticipate the terrible properties of their fearful fruit. We tried to tell Steve not to eat the death plant of horrible pain, but you know how he is. Never before had Batman and Robin battled against such odds as they strove to capture the elusive criminals behind the plants of plunder. Batman feels the need to narrate his life for us, so that's where Frank Miller got it from, and proclaims, "We're trapped, Robin. One of those giant cactus needles is sure to get us before we can pull back out of range. I mean, it's not like those years of athletic training and your past as a freaking acrobat could do anything to stop them or move out of the way. That'd just be silly." Without any kind of transitional statement like, "Here's what happened a few days ago," or something like that, the page flips to Batman and Robin coming upon a jewelry store robbery being carried out by guys in beekeeper outfits. Mind you, they call them asbestos suits, but really, knowing the criminal minds of those in Gotham, you know they were going for some kind of ludicrous theme that they just overthought too much. Hearing screams from inside the store, they decide to completely forget about the thieves themselves and run inside, finding a security guard sitting in a corner whining about how, "The heat, it's more than I can stand." Subsequently, right next to him is a red safe that's giving off heat lines. Well, maybe if you weren't sitting right next to the thing, you wouldn't feel so hot, now would you? Geez, this makes the Gotham cops in Batman and Robin look downright effective and competent. After letting the man change himself after the pants wetting he must have endured, he tells the two what happened. Apparently, the guard was taken prisoner and watched as the men dropped a few seeds into a conveniently placed pot near the vault. After spraying some water onto the seeds and soil, they immediately started to grow into a large yellow plant. I've complained about this before, but it's especially true in the Silver Age. Back then, writers assumed that their readers were morons, so of course they had to have the characters narrate what was happening. As such, the security guard exclaims, "Jehoshaphat!" Did people seriously used to say this outside of TV and books? "Some crazy thing is growing out of the pot, pushing the whole palm tree out by the roots. Some kind of unbelievable plant, but what's it for?" Okay, first of all, what the heck are you doing putting a real potted plant, in particular a palm tree of all things, into a little jewelry store? That means you have to feed and take care of it. And furthermore, I'd assume that a palm tree probably requires a different kind of environment than the one featured in Gotham City. Secondly, even if it's supposed to be a fake plant, then it makes even less sense for there to be roots or even for the new mutant plant to grow in it. As someone who has sold fake plants, the soil tends to be fake as well, so as not to attract unwanted wildlife. We're not even 2 pages in and they can't even get that straight! Somehow, the plant sends out intense waves of heat at the vault to melt the steel of it, revealing that inside the vault is nothing at all. Huh. But of course, the fact that Bob Kane was apparently too lazy to put any kind of money or jewels within this vault isn't commented on. Instead, we cut to Batman's hand as he holds up some dirt from the pot and a few bugle chips that apparently are seeds. "But of a kind I've never seen before." "That figures since they produce a plant never seen before." Batsy, they have been seen before. By the security guard, the guys in the asbestos suits, and by whoever created it. Anyway, they take their seeds back to the Batcave to try to make the plants grow. However, despite their best efforts, they can't seem to get the seeds to form into the plant. Here's a hint, Bats. They're $2.99 a pack at Kmart. "We've tried waters and fertilizers of every kind, but we can't get those seeds to sprout. Hell, we've even given them Red Bull." The robbers continue their heist, only now the plant is sporting exploding gas pods, and instead of asbestos suits, they're wearing 3-piece suits with fedoras and everything, and gas masks over their faces. Ladies and gentlemen, the Sandman Trio! Just a little note in the narrative structure here. Modern storytelling techniques in sequential art mean that actions tend to flow from panel to panel with some continuity in regards to location, characters, and etc. This slows things down a bit, making it seem a bit more cinematic in how things work, and conversations can be stretched out a lot more. It also leads to storytelling being decompressed, as it's called, which in turn stretches stories that might normally last for a single issue or two out for several issues. There's plenty of argument on whether this is good or not. However, in this case, I think I'd prefer a nice decompressed storyline. Here we just go from panel to panel, barely in one location, before we zip over to another part of the story and then have the dialogue say exactly what we can see for our own eyes. As such, on this single page, we've been in a flashback, in the jewelry store, in the Batcave, and now we have moved into police headquarters where Commissioner Gordon has some new information for Batman. They've discovered an amnesia victim wandering the streets, but lo and behold, within his pockets are bugles like those found at the crime scene. Oh, that and 2 Viagra tablets and some pocket lint, though apparently those are seeds too. Who knew you could grow a Viagra tree? This string of events without any break time continues as a police bulletin comes in, alerting the Caped Crusaders to the fact that the robbers are making a getaway. Some really false tension gets put in when Batman and Robin arrive at the robbers' last known location on the roads, but the roads have been smashed up with some quick-growing giant plants, forcing them to have to jump a ravine in order to catch up with them. Will they make it? Will they get across the... Oh, wait, they made it. In fact, not only did they make it, them making it isn't even shown. It's just them starting over the ravine and then cutting to the Batmobile giving chase to the robbers. Wow, that was certainly a close call. I almost had the urge to watch a Dukes of Hazzard episode there. The action continues as the robbers abandon their getaway car near a waterfall. Batman says the robbers will be cut off because of the high cliffs in the area and gives chase. The path is blocked by another huge plant, this time like one of the giant yellow cacti from earlier that shot out huge needles. Robin, being completely ineffectual, gasps out, "How will we ever get by that?" Well, you could use some kind of bat defoliant on it, or maybe some kind of miniature explosive device, or maybe use focused martial arts to chop at it until it's down. But Batman, master strategist that he is, has this to say: "There's only one thing we can try." That solution being to lasso a rope onto a rock ledge hanging overhead and swing by. Whew, thank God for that ledge. I mean, we almost had an interesting scene for a second there. Thinking that the robbers are cut off by the waterfall, the two move in for the capture. However, to their shock, it seems that a new plant, this one looking like a piece of rock candy stuck out of the ground, has frozen the waterfall completely, and they're climbing it on handholds they've chiseled out with a pickaxe! Okay. Batman mentions in a panel that there was a slight delay, but even he admits that it wasn't that much time. Let me get this straight. The robbers ran down between some cliffs, tossed a seed on the ground containing the yellow cactus, used their special watering mix on it, kept on going, grew some sort of ice plant out of the ground, used it to freeze both the waterfall and the river it flowed into, and then had enough time to chip away several handholds for them to climb up the very slippery ice on the waterfall all before Batman and Robin could reach them. To make it worse, they're already halfway up the waterfall and Batman proclaims, "We'll never overtake them now," even though they're like 50 feet away and they have bat ropes. Yes, this completely passable obstacle prevents Batman and Robin from pursuing, and they just decide to go home. Frankly, I don't blame them, since they're quite clearly the worst crime fighters I've ever seen. I mean, there were more ledges they could have swung on, but apparently one ledge per day is their limit or something. However, on their way back, another police bulletin informs them that the amnesia victim has been kidnapped by the robbers via another strange plant. Examining the hospital room where he was taken, Batman discovers some mud left on the ground by one of the kidnapper's shoes. One panel later, Batman exposits that the lab analysis revealed that we found particles of lava in the mud, and this mountain is the only extinct volcanic formation in the area. That abandoned farmhouse way up above could make an ideal hideout. You know, I'm not a geologist, but it seems to me that after the volcano is no longer active and the lava has hardened into rock, it stops being lava. I think you might get away with calling it igneous rock that used to be lava, but explain to me how one can find particles of lava in mud. Inside the farmhouse, the robbers are trying to make the amnesia victim recall the special spray formula that they use to make the bugles and Viagra grow into killer plants. You know, without the gas masks or asbestos suits, these guys really don't seem all that intimidating. In fact, their leader is sporting a brown tweed jacket, a thin mustache, and a bow tie. This gives the effect of making the group look more like the Rat Pack than a group of criminals. Any second now, I suspect they'll stop Batman and Robin with a rendition of Come Fly With Me.
Come fly with me, fly, let's fly.